Imagine pressing play on a Netflix movie, and instantly, millions of tiny decisions start happening across the entire internet. Servers wake up in distant data centers. Invisible algorithms negotiate with three giant content delivery networks. Thousands of video chunks begin racing toward your house through a maze of routers, switches, and fiber pathways. Also, you can watch a movie without a single buffering icon daring to appear. But behind this smooth experience lies a shocking truth. Netflix doesn't actually run the streaming infrastructure you rely on. Not really. In fact, Netflix streams nearly all of its video to millions of households using systems it doesn't own. And that design, while brilliant, is also flawed. Because as researchers discovered, Netflix's multi-CDN streaming system doesn't always choose the right path. Sometimes it stays loyal to a single content provider, even when others could deliver your movie faster, cleaner, and at dramatically higher resolution. And the consequences can mean the difference between crisp HD and a pixelated blur. Today, we're going to break open the secret machinery that makes Netflix run. We'll trace its journey from your play button to the depths of Amazon cloud infrastructure. We'll uncover how Netflix chooses between Akamai, Limelight, and Level 3. And we'll reveal the remarkable findings discovered by measuring Netflix from 95 locations across the United States, including how simple tweaks could boost streaming bandwidth by 12%, and how using multiple CDNs at once could boost it by more than 50%. This is the internet's hidden power grid, the story of how your movie actually gets to you, and how Netflix could make it massively better. Before we dive in, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It helps this channel reach more people who love deep dives into the unseen engineering that shapes our world. Okay, let's hit play. Netflix today is one of the biggest bandwidth consumers on the internet. At peak hours in the United States, nearly a third of all downstream traffic comes from Netflix. Think about that. One company is responsible for almost a third of the entire country's nighttime bandwidth demands. And the wild part? Netflix built this empire while owning almost none of the infrastructure behind it. Instead, Netflix is a master conductor, orchestrating a global symphony of cloud systems, CDNs, and embedded players. When you log in, the first server you touch, the one at netflix.com, mainly handles things like account registration, logins, and billing. Once you authenticate, the real magic begins. Your movie stream doesn't come from Netflix's servers. It comes from the Amazon cloud. Yep, Netflix's core brain lives inside Amazon Web Services. Everything from DRM and logging to content ingestion and mobile device support happens inside Amazon's ecosystem. Even your movie file, the actual video, is encoded, protected, and then copied out to the CDNs that will deliver it to your home. These CDNs, Akamai, Limelight, and Level 3, are the real soldiers in the battle for smooth streaming. They're strategically scattered across the country, with servers camped at internet exchanges, inside ISPs, and near population hubs. Their job? Bring content physically as close to you as possible. But here's where things get really interesting. Every time you play a movie, Netflix's system hands your device a special XML file called a manifest. And this manifest is the player's rulebook. It lists which CDNs are allowed. It specifies the URLs for every possible video quality level, from low bitrate 100 kilobit streams all the way to full HD. It tells your device how to switch bitrates, how to measure bandwidth, and even where to download the thumbnails that make trick play, like scrubbing and previewing, work. Think of the manifest as a treasure map, and your device just quietly follows it. But there's a twist. The manifest assigns each CDN a rank: first choice, second choice, third choice. And researchers discovered something shocking when they collected manifest files across different locations, devices, accounts, and times. The CDN rankings weren't based on bandwidth. They weren't based on geography. They weren't based on time of day, performance, network congestion, or anything like that. In fact, they were tied directly to the user account. Two people in the same room could press play on the same movie, at the same moment, on the same computer, yet get completely different CDN assignments based solely on their account. And those assignments stayed locked in place for days, completely ignoring actual CDN performance. Imagine if Uber assigned you a driver not based on who's closest, not based on who's fastest, but randomly based on your username. That's basically what Netflix was doing. And once your account was tied to a CDN, the player stayed loyal. Even when that CDN slowed down, even when better options were available. Tests showed that the Netflix player would rather drop your video quality, sometimes all the way to the lowest possible bitrate, before it would consider switching CDNs. Only when the primary CDN could no longer support even minimum quality playback would it hop to the next one in line. So the researchers asked a simple question. What would happen if we actually measured the available bandwidth of all three CDNs, across the country, at different times, and compared them? And the results were fascinating. Over a period of weeks, the team measured Akamai, Limelight, and Level 3 from 95 vantage points, including homes and university-based Planet Lab nodes. They downloaded video chunks from each CDN in carefully controlled tests. And the findings revealed a world far more chaotic and dynamic than Netflix's static account-based assignment strategy could possibly handle. Some CDNs were faster in certain regions, others were faster on certain days. At some residential homes, the best CDN outperformed the worst by massive margins, and no single CDN dominated everywhere. A countrywide map showed a patchwork of optimal choices. Level 3 here, Limelight there, Akamai elsewhere, with performance shifting not only by location but by time of day. Daily bandwidth varied dramatically. Even minute-to-minute bandwidth swung up and down inside 2-hour test windows. Sometimes the bandwidth from a CDN jumped between two stable levels, like flipping a switch. And yet, Netflix's strategy never adapted. But here's where the true missed opportunity reveals itself. What if, instead of sticking with one CDN no matter what, Netflix simply measured the performance of each CDN at the start of a video and picked the best? The researchers simulated this measurement-based strategy, and the results were stunning. Just by taking a couple of small measurements at the beginning of playback, something that would add only a second or two, Netflix could improve average bandwidth by over 12%. And for some households, the improvement was more than 100%. But this was just the beginning. Because if the Netflix player used all three CDNs at once, downloading different chunks in parallel, the combined throughput could be more than 50% higher than the single best CDN alone. Think about what that means. It means faster startup times, higher sustained quality, fewer drops to lower bit rates, and massive headroom for future 3D or ultra-high definition experiences. And Netflix could achieve this without building any new infrastructure, just smarter software. This multi-CDN parallel strategy is especially powerful with adaptive streaming, where each chunk is small and independent. The player could simply ask different CDNs for different chunks and stitch them into a seamless movie. And this isn't some far future fantasy. It's entirely achievable with the streaming protocols already in use. All of this reveals a deeper truth. The internet is alive. Bandwidth shifts, workloads shift, and the best path for your video at noon might be terrible by 6 p.m. A static assignment simply can't keep up with that reality. Netflix's existing system was good, but the measurements showed it could be far better. And that's the story most people never hear. When you watch Netflix, there is a complex and constantly fluctuating ecosystem beneath your stream. The CDNs carrying your movie are fighting an invisible battle. Sometimes they win, sometimes they're overloaded, and sometimes Netflix doesn't even let them compete. But the future is clear. With dynamic, measurement-based selection or multi-CDN streaming, Netflix and services like it could tap into dramatically higher bandwidth, not by building more servers, but simply by being smarter about which ones to use. So the next time you hit play, remember, you're witnessing a massive, real-time negotiation happening across systems that span the entire internet. And with changes like those uncovered in this study, your future Netflix experience could become even faster, sharper, and smoother. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden machinery of internet streaming, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which part blew your mind the most. This channel thrives on your engagement, and it helps us bring more powerful stories from behind the scenes of the digital world. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy streaming.